first problem. All right, we're going over our delta math assignments on trig functions. So it is from worksheet 59. So the first one on the screen says, express cosine E as a fraction in simplest forms. So if you guys have your sheets out, we're going to put this in as a fraction. And when we go to put it in as a fraction, if you just type in, this isn't the right number, if I just type in the number and the slash key, it will give me that fraction form. Now I'm going to get rid of that. So let me jump over to my paper. And so I rewrote the problem here. You guys want to have your sheets to help you. They want cosine of E, so go ahead and circle E, and let's label our sides. If this is my angle, this is always my hypotenuse, it's opposite 90 degrees. This is adjacent, and this is opposite. So cosine right here is adjacent over hypotenuse. So that is a problem. Cosine is E is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. So why am I saying that's a problem? I don't have the hypotenuse. Do you get that idea? So I'm going to go in and I need to do Pythagorean theorem. A leg squared plus a leg squared equals the hypotenuse squared. And that's going to give me the length of that missing side. So I have to do a little bit of work before I get into this. Now, I have the two legs, so I'm looking for the hypotenuse. I'm just going to type it in, 8 squared plus 15 squared, and that gives me 289, and that equals c squared. All right, in order to get rid of that, we're going to do the inverse. And so I'm going to take the square root of 289, and that gives me 17. Okay, so now that I've done that part of the problem, and they didn't ask me to find the hypotenuse, but I needed it because it was part of the trig function. So the cosine of E I can now do, it is the adjacent 15 over the hypotenuse 17. So for my problem, I would enter that. Let me go back to it. I would enter 15, the slash over 17, and then I would check it. And that is correct. And remember, you can always look at the solution to make sure you broke it down correctly if you got it wrong, and they're showing you everything. All right, so sometimes I won't need to find the missing side, other times I will. Let's go back and do one off of the next one. So it says solve for x rather than nearest tenth. Again, if I'm stuck, I could look at an example, okay? So I want to solve for x. Now, with this one, it's a little bit different. So let me quickly draw it here. That's X, G, F, and E. We got 26. And what do I have? What is that down there? Is it 45? Is that the angle, guys? 45? Okay. So here's the deal. Pythagorean theorem is not going to help me on this problem. What's going to help me is sine, cosine, or tangent. So what I want you to do, again, is I want you to circle that angle that I have. I want to think about what this is. This side is adjacent. This side is the this side is the opposite, and this is my hypotenuse. So with that information in mind, what operation or what trig function am I going to use if I have hypotenuse and opposite? So I would look at this. It'd be opposite and hypotenuse. That would be my sine function. So in this one, I'm going to write that I have the sine of angle E. So instead of writing E, I have the angle. So sine of 45 equals the opposite over the hypotenuse. Now, here's where I'm going to look at this because I'm missing a side. I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to have 26 times the sine of 45 is equal to x. All I need to do is type this in the calculator. Sine of 45 is a number, okay? So you're really taking 26 times sine of 45. Now remember, my calculator has the key. Some of you have to hit second, and there's a key that says PRB down here, and it has the trig with it. Hit enter, and we get 18.38. So x is approximately 18.384776. Now, I'm writing that down because I want to see what it asked for. So let me go back. it says round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So let me toss my answer in there. It would be 18.4 units. And let's check it. And we got it right. Again, what I like in here is it's reminding you of the labels. So if you got it wrong, you could see if you labeled it wrong. It's telling you which function and why. It's all color coded. It shows you the cross multiplication. So I really think this is a good answer here. All right, last idea on these. It says solve for x round to the nearest tenth. Now this is going to be the more challenging one for you. Okay, it is the newer thing we did, but I know you can handle it. 5, does that say 3.1 over here? Yeah. And then what's unknown is the degree, and that's going to make it a little bit different. Okay, hopefully I have this labeled correctly. And it again says round the nearest tenth. All right, so let's jump over to my paper. So guys, anytime I have an unknown angle, I'm going to have to use that inverse idea, and that was the newer idea. So what do I have on here? This is my focus angle. So this is adjacent, hypotenuse, and opposite. So what am I looking at? I have to use sine, cosine, or tangent. I have the adjacent and the hypotenuse. Okay, so adjacent hypotenuse is cosine. So it's going to be the cosine of the angle that I want equals the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Now, you could take 3.1 divided by 5 and get that little decimal. I'm just going to leave it as it is, but here's the deal. Anytime I'm looking for an unknown angle, I have to separate the cosine from the x. So just like the inverse of multiplication is division, the inverse of a power of 2 is a square root, the inverse of cosine is literally the inverse of cosine, cosine -1. So this cancels, and that's where I get x equals the inverse cosine of 3.1 divided by 5. So we did this the other day, but you didn't have to write your own ratio. We sort of just typed it in. So here we go. Second, and then cosine. Some of you have to hit second trig and then arrow over till you get that cosine -1. And then I just have to put in my fraction, 3.1 fraction or divided by 5. And we get 51.68 ... It said round to the nearest tenth, so 51.7, and it's in degrees. All right, so let's go back over and toss that in. It's not blinking. So 51.7, and they already have the degree symbol there. So let's go ahead. We got it right. Again, it's showing you, see how I circled the angle? This Delta Math really thinks like I think, and show you. So it circles the angle, it labels everything, and then it shows you why you're using cosine. So I really like, and it shows you this. So this is showing you exactly what I did. So I think the explanation is very helpful. All right,